welcome to yet another um, show. Today's show, as you all know, is very special. Um, it's about the music supervisors, and I have two very special guests as well. So I'll just wait for a couple of more minutes before I invite my panelists so that everybody can join in. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's been with me throughout my journey. These last episodes, these last 9 episodes, um, it's been really fun. I have learned a lot. I'm sure you guys have learned a lot. Um, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Jesse J, and I help music enthusiasts understand the music industry from the eyes of the insiders. I want to create awareness, I want to give directions, and I want all the music industry, the entire music industry, to grow and become as successful as possible. That's the whole intention of making this show called Understanding the Indian Music Industry. Today's show is about music supervisors. Okay, this term, a lot of people in India don't know about this term. Who is a music supervisor? Uh, According to the traditional way of functioning of the music industry, there were mostly directors or producers or record labels or line producers who were taking calls. तो ये लोगों ने हमेशा कॉल लिया है कि कौन म्यूजिक, किसने अपना म्यूजिक फिल्म में देना चाहिए, किसने अपना म्यूजिक टेलीविजन सीरीज में देना चाहिए. So it has all been like that. It has been a fragmented and not so documented and strong. But now we have a new breed which is coming in the Indian market, and I'm very excited to talk about this today. Let me introduce you to my first panelist. He is none other than Alick Sethi. Alick, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jesse. It's really good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, Alick. And I'll just give a small introduction about Alick. Alick is a music supervisor and runs from a company called as Retox Music. He has been a music supervisor for nearly 20 years. Starting as a radio DJ producer on his own UK show, he moved into sync by repping small indie labels and unsigned artists for sync deals into TV commercials and movies, concentrating on developing markets, Russia, Central Europe, India, and Asia. He soon morphed into a full-service music supervision, producing composers, performing creative searches, and licensing. Of great importance to Alick is the craftsmanship aspect of the job, which is being able to decipher the nuances of a creative brief. Very welcome to the show, Alick. Your opening remarks.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really good to be here. Yeah, I understand that from my forays towards into India, into the market, that it is music supervision is something that's not really understood, both on the side that we're mostly addressing today, the artists, the music side, the music industry, but even from the people who should be my clients, the film producers, the media creators. Also, they don't know this too much about this. And what I find is there has to be a lot of education, which is really great for what you're doing. So far in India, you have music directors who are people who work, it seems, solely with composers and compose. A lot of composing is done, and that seems to be everyone's kind of preferred way of working. But I think if you ask them why, they wouldn't really know. It's just jobs come at such a high frequency with such crazy deadlines. So compose, okay, call this guy. You just pick up the phone, call your go-to person. So what me, and also I know Akshay, who's you're going to introduce in a minute, what we're trying to do, and some other people in India, is what goes on in also the rest of the world. That doesn't mean that India is behind in any ways, but film and content is produced and created everywhere. And there are lots of tools that a producer should have in whatever aspect of the film they're doing. And one of the most important aspects is music and sound, because this can really emotionally hook people. It can really be very persuasive and very convincing. So my job is to find the best way to use music. Now, that might be a composer, like a traditional music director, or that might be using an existing song from a band or from a singer or from an artist, and taking that song that's owned by the artist or the band or a label or a publisher, and showing it to my client, showing it to the producer or the creator of the content, and in that way creating a need from the client for that song. And so then they want to do a license, they want to pay money to have the right to use the music. So that's very simply what we do. And I think we need to grow that in India.
So before Alick, we grow that in India, people need to know about that. So let me introduce
Absolutely.
my second guest, who has been actively doing the music supervision for, it's an agency based in Mumbai called as Music Curry. He's worked as a music curator for films, production houses, OTT platforms, made sure that the creative and the business ends of the process meet. Some of the live projects executed by his team include College Romance, Netflix web show for TVF, First web show by Dice Media, Love Travel Repeat web show by Google, and Brochara web show by Dice Media. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Akshay Shivpuri.
Hi,
Akshay,
hi Jesse.
please
Can you
start with your opening remarks. Yes, I can
yeah,
see you.
thank you for the wonderful introduction, and it's a pleasure to be on your show. And I think personally, there is a lot for me to learn from Alick as well. Like since he has like a 20-year experience, so I think I'm also gonna be
Nearly 20 years.
a learner
my
here.
age down a bit.
But more than that, yeah, I'll be like, so I personally see the rise of OTTs, and like since so much content has been being created, which has been being delivered through all the platforms. So I see it as an opportunity for emerging artists to use it as a platform to grow their music as well, because traditionally it was like the content that was delivered through TV, and then there was music labels, which was the go-to way for any artist to kind of become big. But since there is so much content, so many films that are being created, that are independently produced or being backed by big producers, so my role is to help connect talent to opportunity in the form of a single deal. Yeah.
तो मैं इसको बहुत एक Alec, do you understand Hindi? Little bit? No,
Yeah,
you can. Okay, if you don't understand, you can ask me to repeat. Okay, तो बहुत सरल शब्दों में मैं बता देता हूँ कि म्यूजिक सुपरवाइजर वो होता है जो आपके गानों को या मतलब एलेक और अक्षय को एक ब्रीफ मिलती है, वो प्रोड्यूसर से मिल सकती है, डायरेक्टर से मिल सकती है, प्रोडक्शन हाउस से मिल सकती है, उनको एक ब्रीफ मिलती है, उनको उसके पैसे भी पता चलते हैं कि भाई इसके ऊपर इतने पैसे लगेंगे, और फिर वो मार्केट में जाते हैं और वो म्यूजिक सुनते हैं, या उनके पास पब्लिशर्स गाने भेजते हैं, बैंड्स गाने भेजते हैं, सिंगर्स गाने भेजते हैं, तो उनके पास एक कैटलॉग जैसा बना हुआ होता है कि ठीक है, लव सॉन्ग है तो यहाँ से देंगे, सैड सॉन्ग है तो यहाँ से देंगे, बैले है तो यहाँ से देंगे, पॉप सॉन्ग है तो यहाँ से देंगे, पंजाबी सॉन्ग है तो यहाँ से देंगे. तो इनके पास ऐसे कैटलॉग बने होते हैं. जब इनके पास ऐसी इंक्वायरी आती है, तब वो ये गाने अपने कैटलॉग में से निकाल के म्यूजिक प्रोड्यूसर्स को दे देते हैं, और जब वहां से उनको जो पैसे मिलते हैं, उनका एक कमीशन होता है जो वो रखते हैं, और वो बाकी का जो पैसा होता है वो आर्टिस्ट को देते हैं, जो जिस हिसाब से वो नेगोशिएट होता है. Alec, is that right? Could you understand me?
Yeah, I think it's mostly good. There, at least in the West, there is a distinction between a music supervisor and a sync rep. So in my introduction, you told that I started off representing small record labels, indie bands. This is quite a few years ago. And from there, I moved into being a music supervisor. So I would say a music supervisor shouldn't really be affiliated to any catalog. So I never know my next job. I never know my next brief. I never know what kind of music they're going to want, the client, where they're going to be from, what kind of music they want. They might be from, I don't know, from Russia wanting a Spanish song. They might be from India wanting something from America or something from the West, synth pop or techno or anything. So I have to just be able to look effectively wherever. And then, yeah, I mean, regards to commission, I think that's more, at least on the Western model, let's talk about, and I need to learn from you on this. Commission is more someone who reps a catalog. So when I used to rep artists, they knew that I was representing them for sync deals. And when I found something, I would take my commission, which was pre-agreed and contracted. Whereas now I'm more likely getting a fee from the client so that they know that I'm searching effectively for them. And then they want to know the whole budget. How is it being used? How is it being allocated on the music?
Akshay, what do you think about it? Alex says that he takes a fees from his clients. What about you? You worked in the Indian companies. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so like how we work is like, first of all, there is obviously like a brief, as in like what kind of show it is, like how many episodes, what kind of music they need, like is it like just a license, or they want the IP to be owned by them? Is it like a buyout? So on the basis of that, then it comes down to the nitty-gritties, as in like what kind of voice they need or something, like just to imagine what kind of visual, like what kind of music would just fit in the visual. And on the basis of that, like if it's like a sample, like they need a new composition, something that is just for their own, for which they want to own. On that model, we just give them like a sample with the team of musicians. In case they want a particular song and they quote us like, okay, this is our budget. So then we just go to the artist and like see, try to make the deal happen as well. Or if there is something that we already have that kind of fits in their budget as well as the theme of music that they are looking for. So then that is what how it happens.
No, so who pays you? Do you take a commission from the artist, or you get from the production house that you work?
So anyways, like it is, in some cases we have just directly worked on our transparent fees. We say, okay, this is like we'll take a X percentage on this, on the total project cost. And sometimes it is like we tell the artist that this is like completely transparent. It's not like that they are quoting us say X lakhs and like we are kind of just removing it X minus one and then telling it. So it's totally transparent in terms of what the whole model is.
Akshay, as far as I understand, I think also in the Indian model, is it that you were told that there is let's say for an example, you get 50 lakh rupees for a web series. Okay, for the entire web series, you get 50 lakh rupees. You take this amount and you execute. So your studio bookings, your lyrics, your
yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
And what about Alick? What about internationally? Do you also do that?
Yeah, it would work in the same way. And if it was about composing, then yeah, there would be a percentage because we are producing the created tracks.
So you also get into the operations of the things. Is that what you both want to say? Also.
I can do. I mean, most of my, sorry, Akshay, I'll answer first, but most of my work is sync, but I have done numerous compositions as well. Not in India, but in abroad. And yeah, there's a fee that's paid, and that has to include all the operations and the license and my fee. That's the music budget for composing. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to also take questions. Avik's first question. Okay. Can I do that? Okay. 1 second. Avik's first question, whoever wants to answer this, Alick, you can answer this question. 1 second. Where did it go? if the song is already on Spotify, I know the answer. If the song is already
Mhm.
on Spotify, can it also be given to a project like for sync?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It doesn't matter if the song is already released. If we're talking about sync,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if the song is already released or a commercial. I mean, if you look at TV series in the West, then in Europe and US and other territories, then often they do a mixture of trying to find new songs, but also just trying to find songs on the message of the scene. Maybe a song that's already famous. That's already famous means it's already on Spotify. It's already on Apple Music. It's already available. People would own it, but it might really help the visual storytelling, the total storytelling of a specific scene or of a TV commercial or of any visual media. So there's still a deal to be done. There's still a way, an opportunity for that song to be used.
Alick, Akshay, you can take the second one. It's again from Avik Ganguly. He says, what kind of percentage an artist can expect?
Yeah, I just like added to the thing that like the most important thing, as well as even if the song is on Spotify, the main thing is like who are the rights holder to kind of know first of all clearly, like if even if the song is like the artist who has composed the rights are with one person for kind of making sure the deal goes on as well, because most of the time what happens is like the singers don't have the rights, like it's the music and the lyrics are two different things, as in the composition and the sound recording as well. So and then in terms of what kind of percentage an artist can expect, so I'm assuming the song is already published, that is already out there and a
Yes,
sync.
yes.
uh, so it totally depends on the kind of the transaction deal as well, like the deal size. I'll be like totally honest. I have done like sync deals where the budget was like as low as like 50,000 rupees for a song, to as big as it has been like somewhere around like 5 to 6 lakh rupees as well. So the percentage of fees varies. It's not just like one number that it is gonna be like a X percentage, but it totally depends on the deal size as well.
I'll also like to come in. So, guys, I have also worked for a considerable amount of time in the ad industry. Okay. So what happened, guys, is Avik, actually, I'm taking it from your question only. Sometimes what happens is the line producer or the movie that they are creating. Let's say I'm taking a brand name Nokia. Okay, Nokia is making a jingle, and now when Nokia is making a jingle, they are thinking that okay, Despacito is a great track to have it. But when they actually approach Universal, who maybe has the publishing rights for the song, uh, they would ask for sky high rates, right, Alec? I mean, they would ask for anything,
Hmm.
right? So it becomes difficult for the brand and for the agency who's executing this to get everything on the same page, and hence they come to a guy like Alec or like Akshay and tell them, hey, you know what, we want to create something on these lines, this lines. So can you
Hmm.
help them? And that's where the whole game changes, and that's where I see a lot of potential, and that's the main reason why we're doing today's show. I'm going to take next question. How can I get work like composing background score for any short film or a movie? Alec, you want to take that question?
I think that's maybe better for Akshay.
Akshay, you
I
want to
can
take it?
answer it later as well, but I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, I think
you have
like
more experience.
yeah. So I just share like my like the way I started was that I just like one of the first project that we did was for TVF, and I just like reached out to their founder Aruna, with whom I just met and even I just told him like we have just couple of songs. Would you just want to like listen to them to use them in any of your shows? And that was like almost 4 years ago, and that conversation then just translated where these guys like called us at their office in Delhi, and they gave it a listen and they said, okay, like this song would really match something that we are looking for. However, we need more songs along for our show. So would you want to do that? So that was how like at that point of time, honestly, I didn't even know that music supervisor is a term that exists for what I was doing, because like my job was to make sure that like both the ends are met, like what kind of music they are looking for, the creative briefs are met, the timelines are met, and even the budget of the show is like kind of falls. It's a win-win for both of them, and on paper as well, it is like kind of well documented and legally well represented. So that was my learning, and when I kind of tried to scale my learnings, I saw, okay, like you kind of find the production houses, like there is a producers guild association of India which has like all the members. So if I was like an artist, I would just go on to find the content heads or the creative directors at the show, and then just push them my work to know what kind, if there is something that fits in any of their upcoming projects. So that is one way I would do. Or like obviously the second option is like pitching your music to a music supervisor or a music library.
Okay,
But since
so
music library is not something that is very predominant in India as it is in like West, so that is yeah.
picking from there, Alec, if what does an artist or a artist manager has to do to 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 so that you can know about them?
Well, if we were in France, Germany, UK, USA, I could answer that question very easily.
Okay,
I
and
think in India,
how is that done internationally? You can tell us there, and then you can
actually, I don't. I want to.
Okay.
I will.
Okay.
But I think there's one thing. As this grows, as more and more people realize that they can sell their music into media, and for that for their existing music, and for that to happen, there has to be a push and pull on both sides of the market. So the clients, they also have to, which is why I talked about education at the beginning, they also have to start buying music and start being open to buying music and using composers more sparingly. So when that happens, and when more and more composers or labels or publishers start approaching producers, then it gets too much. Then imagine you're a producer for a movie or a TV series or a TV commercial, and you have to look at and be responsible for all the visual content, taking the script that the creatives have made and getting the right director, getting the right locations, getting the right actors, getting the right celebrities, if that. And then you have, I don't know, maybe at the beginning you have one or two composers approaching you who are really ahead of the curve. We're talking about India now. One or two labels, and you find their work good, you do a license. But now imagine that catches on, and then you have 50 and then 100 different people approaching you. There isn't the time. There isn't the time in the day to listen to all their playlists and to hear how they're the greatest composer who can do anything and do any kind of jingle and have done this and have done that and here's my work. When you're also going on recce's mean to like scouting to find locations, when you might be allocating a production company abroad because you have to shoot certain scenes abroad, when you'll be hiring the crew, the director wants this cinematographer, and it's too much. Your job actually isn't large enough to scale for that, to allow for that. So my opinion on this, my strong opinion, is in India you need more music supervisors. And I would be happy from this podcast, and also I was talking a couple of weeks ago all about music. I would be happy if we inspired people, not just how do I sell my music, but how do I become a music supervisor? How do we enlarge this role in India? So then we really can, we can play, then we can really help the music industry and the visual content industry. So my answer would be, we need to create this layer of music supervisors, because it's our job to have all the contacts in the music industry. It's our job to take the whole amount of music that's in the world and filter it down to what the client needs. We're like DJs. You said I come from a DJ background. I come from a, why do you listen to some radio shows and not others? Why do you go to clubs when there's a certain DJ playing but not another DJ? Because you like their sound, because they take the whole world of music and filter it into first what they like, and you happen to be on that wavelength and agree with it. And our job, okay, it's less about our own pleasure, but my job and Akshay's job is to take the world of music and make it manageable for the production. So if they're looking for a certain type of song, a certain style of music, then I will give it to them without all the other background noise, without all the other people approaching, knocking on the door. And I will take those calls for them and help for them. So I think we need to create this layer. We need more people working in music supervision, and that's how things would explode, and things would help, definitely from our perspective right now on this podcast, help the artists out there to sell their music.
I think like the one great example for like in terms of Indian market was like the Gully Boy, where like a lot of out of all the 18 I think there was like a list of 18 tracks. I think almost like more than 70% of the songs were synced. So that was like a great start where like Ankur did a great job of like getting those artists together, and like the music was synced, and almost like all the creations, like right from Mere Gali Mein was used, a lot of hip hop songs were used. So that like has really like led the way in terms of Indian market, where now people are really looking for like just using a song that is already out there in their project.
I will come to the rights part of the business, Alick and Akshay. Can you guys tell me what are the sync rights? What are the kind of royalties that the artists get after getting their songs synced?
The rights, I think I was watching your podcast last week, and Rafael Pereira, the lawyer, more than a lawyer, but a really great guy. He put it really well. So you have the master rights, which are from the recording. I think for us as sync music supervisors in sync, we start with the publishing. The publishing is just the concept that there's a song. So it could be written on a piece of paper. It hasn't been recorded, but it's the notes, the words of the lyrics. And we start with that because that for us is our basic, where we go first to when we're trying to find a song. Because if we want to create a cover version of that, we might want to use the original recording, then we'll also go to whoever owns the recorded rights. But if we want to make a cover version of that, or have an artist or even an actor sing it on the set, just sing that song, we have to look at the publishing first. So the publishing is just related to everything that was about writing that piece of music, writing the lyrics. And then if I'm doing a straightforward sync of a song that's well known, I go to the publisher for those rights, for information on those rights. It's my job to find which publisher I should go to, where there is a publisher. And then the second part is I would go to the record label who own the actual recording, where musicians, singers, or the original artist or the original band have actually put that song gone into a studio, recorded it, and that's the recording. So we have to look at both rights. Normally from the client's side, for a straightforward synchronization, normally they're expected to pay the same amount of money for each side. So if the client has a budget of 10 lakhs, say, for a sync, then I would go to the publisher to get I would say, can you do it for 5 lakhs? Something like this. They would say, yes, 5 is fine. But they use a term called most favored nations. So it means that, I mean, basically in basic English, it means that if I go to the other rights owner and they quote 5 lakhs, then that's fine. But if they quote 6 lakhs, then the publisher also wants 6 lakhs. So then it goes up to 12 lakhs, something like this. So this is what I have to do for a license. I have to, if it's an indie artist or an unsigned artist and they own all the rights, I can go to them and just ask for the budget and can you do the song for this much? And then later we can split it down the middle, but the artist would get all the money if they wrote the song themselves and
Alick,
recorded it themselves.
So once the artist has given you the song,
Mm-hmm.
is it a one-time buy or he gets money, he gets royalties?
You should always get royalties. I mean, all the sync licenses I've worked on are they're licenses and they're non-exclusive. So, which means that the song can be used again. When you work in advertising, normally just if I would do something for Airtel, for example,
right,
in India, if I would license a song from an indie artist for Airtel,
right,
then normally just by it being on Airtel, then it's exclusive. Vodafone wouldn't want to use that song because they want to do something different, because corporate strategy is very secretive and very competitive, and huge amounts of money are put into research and development. So, and that includes the marketing and the advertising.
So you mean if it's a big corporate, then it's exclusively sometimes, and then if
it acts as exclusivity. I mean, they don't pay for exclusivity because it's very expensive in the West to buy the rights of a song exclusively. It just acts exclusively. If a new indie band is used on say a mobile phone commercial, then another mobile phone commercial will want to develop its own strategy. They won't want to copy that once it's on air. So that acts as exclusivity. The fact about royalties, I think maybe even you, Jesse, or definitely Akshay could answer it, but I don't know how IPRS works in India. I haven't heard the most...
that's why I'm so smiling, because now the question goes to Akshay, and Akshay...
I haven't heard the most level things. I've heard very different points of view, and actually I don't know enough to make a judgment on it. But in a perfect world, every time the TV series that you've worked on is broadcast, aired, every time the TV commercial with your song on it is aired, every time the movie is played somewhere on a TV or in a cinema, some royalty will be generated, and that royalty should be picked up by IPRS, by PO, and then it should be distributed to the writers.
That's not happening for sure. So I'm just going to add something. So like I was saying that, in the ad film industry, I've worked in the ad film industry. What happens in an ad film industry is that there is a line producer who comes and talks. So the line producer gets the job. He calls. So he has the budget as well from the agency. Okay, the budget is 10 lakh rupees. Then he knows, okay, in 10 lakh, who all can do this jingle. So, maybe Alick can do this jingle in 10 lakh budget. And so he has to do this permutation and combination based on the music directors he's worked so far with. He knows their budget. If it's a perpetuity, normally in India, the brands would like to take the content for perpetuity. It's mostly perpetuity. What they come in is, if the track is worth 5 lakh rupees, they will pay the artist 10 lakh rupees and take the song for perpetuity. The artist, I mean the composer, the music director, will come in, go inside the studio, record a fresh track for the agency and the brand. He will take that 10 lakh rupees. An artist, a singer who's singing on the jingle would get another 40, 50, whatever, 1,000 rupees for the track. She's or he is work for hire. They take that money, they go out. That negotiation of the singer is based on what are the mediums the track is going to be played on. If it's going to be television, video, television, online, radio, all these platforms. And also the same goes with the music director. So also it's the medium. In our ad industry, there is no royalty. I haven't heard this name called royalty in the ad industry. Sorry. I don't know about the OTT platforms, because Akshay has worked with the OTT platforms. He'll be able to answer that question. But for me, as far as my knowledge goes, they will give you work for hire. You come as a music director and you get a music producer, you get live musicians, you get singers, you make the track, you give the final track, you edit the track. So 30, 120 and 2-minute track. You give them all your tracks, also the original tracks, you give them the lyrics, you give them the master rights, you give them everything, take the money and go away. That's it. That's end of the story. There is no contracts. There is only a single mail that comes in. Negotiations happen on the phone call. I've done this. I've managed music directors in the past, so I know that. For the OTT, we'll go to Akshay. Akshay, what happens?
Yeah. Before that, I would like for people who are just like to kind of the concept of licensing. I think one great example is like if you are a person, if you want to like live in Bombay, you have two options. You either buy an apartment and you either rent an apartment. So when you're buying an apartment, it's like an outright sale. It's like for perpetuity, you want to own that asset. But if you are like renting an apartment, that is like for some fixed period of time, you'll be like using that apartment, and you'll be like paying that money to the owner of. So like in this example, if we see that an artist is someone who is the owner of the apartment, and suppose there is the end user, which can be like any production house which is using that. So if it is like a license, if it is not like an assignment, in case of an assignment, it's similar to like selling your apartment for perpetuity. Then you don't kind of get anything out of it. You're not gonna enjoy it. But if you're renting it out, so then you can like rent it out after a period to multiple people. So if it is, that is what like a non-exclusive deal, where you can like kind of give your song to like multiple people out there. So in terms of whenever a song is sent, we make sure that we make the cue sheets documented. So cue sheets kind of record the usage in terms of, if it is like a web show, that if there is this song, this comes for this much duration, then that cue sheet is like sent to IPRS, in which like the author and the composer and the publisher information is out there. So from what I know, so like IPRS almost collects 12% of the royalty that is generated through like the mechanical usage. So if there is 100 rupees is like the revenue that is generated out of an exploitation on say YouTube, so then like IPRS will collect 12 rupees, and that further 12 will be like split to 6 to the publisher and 6 to the author composer, and further 6 will be like distributed as the 3 rupees will go to the author and the 3 rupees will go to the composer. So if it is like an outright purchase, then like you are not going to enjoy the revenue that the song, if the song is already on a streaming platform and you're just kind of giving the permission for the song to be used in the film. So in that case, like 100% of the mechanical royalties, the streaming rights, you will be enjoying, like your distributor will be collecting it. But in case if you're just like giving it out, the song for like perpetuity, you would just be getting that share of public performance royalty. So this is how it works.
Alick and Akshay, I mean, can you also, when you get original tracks, have you also thought of going the publishing route? I mean, you becoming a publisher?
Yeah, we have like, I personally have like, under our company, we have like published 4 to 5 songs for which we are like jointly owning the IP with the artist, so that we can just pitch the songs again to like more content creators out there.
And how does it help you to create the joint IP? I mean, how does it help you? I mean, So that you also get the royalty, you mean? That's
Yeah,
how,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The publishing split, yeah.
So Alick, yes. Is
At
Retox
least the
Retox a
market where,
publishing?
no, the market where I come from, I mean, this is something we can look at in India for sure if things are different here, but I have a small problem with that, which is from my previous experience, is that what are my motivations? What is making me to do this work to get money? So it can lead to, I don't know, confusion or grayness, I think. So for example, if I know I could publish a song for a client that I'm going to sync for a client, could it be that I'm pushing that song too much? And how far would I go compared to, say, a song that was published by Sony already? Suppose Sony were happy to give it at the same rate. They want to promote this artist and they're happy to drop their fee to the 10 lakhs, for example, or Universal or whoever. And I have an unsigned artist also at 10 lakh. Then isn't that leading to maybe a conflict of interest? Or it might be that I'm completely fair and I listen to what the client says, but there's always that problem. There's always or that issue, let's call it. So I think a music supervisor, at least as I know it, in my experience, should be neutral. Should be doing the job that the client wants. The client pays me. The client briefs me and appoints me, and I'm working as a consultant for them. So I don't think there's anything wrong taking money off the back end. I don't think that's wrong, but I think it can lead to, it's certainly legal. It's not something that's bad or something, as long as you leave something for the artist. But I think it can lead to grayness and a conflict of interest. And how are you getting songs from already published sources? And you could even go as far in an extreme case where you're not showing them to your client, even though they might be better for the job than the song that you're trying to push. So it's just something you have to be aware of and be careful of. And I'm very aware that my money is coming, my career and my money and my opportunities are coming from the visual side of the media industry. I'm also aware that I need the music, that I'm into more building relationships. And I would rather have more jobs, more money coming that way, and no cloud over my reputation. Not saying that anyone does anything wrong, but just knowing that this is how it is and it's very straight and transparent, rather than not being sure in this way.
Thank you, Alick, for putting it really very clear, and it is black and white. Akshay, what are the difficulties that you face when you're dealing with Indian clients? What are the difficulties?
I think like there is no such like difficulty as in like unless the things are quite transparent. So how we just like put it up very transparent.
I'll be very I'll ask my question again. When you're making contracts with Indian producers, is there any difficulty? Do they say that, hey, you know what? No, man, this is not right. No, give us this. I mean, is there any kind of ambiguity or?
Like we have like, so I personally know like a really great lawyer. So like we kind of use her service to kind of make sure that like that
who's that lawyer?
document. So we use like a Victorian legalist team. So like Kritika Seth is like, she's one of the partner there. So like I have used her service in all of our projects that we have executed, and we just sit down with the artist to kind of explain to them like what all terms means. Perpetuity kya hai, like what are the sound master and etc. And then kind of it really eases out. So because like it will be difficult if you keep it like in a very gray area, but if the piece of paper is right in front of the artist who's composing and everything is transparent, so there is no kind of
there isn't any clash between your legal team and the production legal team. So let's say a Balaji is sitting there and saying that, hey, you know what, this contract is not right, man. This is too much towards this side of the artist side, or I know we wanted exclusive. Otherwise, we'll not take this contract. Does those things happen? And that's my question.
So that is like totally told at the starting of the project only, like whether they want to own the song, whether like that's a exclusive, that is basically a sale only. Exclusive license is like kind of you're assigning the rights
So
to
out of
them.
100, how much is exclusive happening?
So so it totally depends. I can tell you on the basis of like shows as well. Like for example, most of our projects that we have done with Dice Media are like non-exclusive license. So, and like with what we have done in past has been like mix of both, like exclusive and non-exclusive. But the whole thing is like people are now kind of really opening up to not like non-exclusive opportunities, because the price is sometimes, if it is like an unsigned artist, so the price of a non-exclusive, the production company like ends up saving a lot of money as well. So because the time as well is saved, uh, the money, the energy of on finding a director, versus like if that song was not there, they would have to end up paying more money on studio, on finding the writer, the composer, and like building that team. So it totally depends on the project as well. Like for example, Alt Balaji, like they mostly from my experience, they have worked towards like exclusive licensing, like just. And in terms of, so one of the, I'll give you another example. Like we are working on a like music for a comedy show, where we were provided like, okay, there is this lyrics. It was like a commission project. There is no existing song that is being sung. So where the artist also knows that, okay, even if I make this song, I'm not going to use it for my own any of my career. So in that case, they are like pretty much happy and like assigning all the rights to them, to the production house.
Uh, I think, can the royalties, I'm taking a question, can the royalties of the artist be received every time the content screen goes on the channel, or the royalties fixed irrespective of how many times it is viewed or broadcasted? We've answered this question. How can I go? How can I get work like composing background score for any short film or movie? We've answered that question. You can always approach. I can send the email IDs to you of both the gentlemen. You can follow them on Twitter, Instagram. Is there a scope?
I'm very curious actually.
Yeah.
Most of my work in India so far has been in advertising. That's kind of my sphere of speciality, though I want to branch out. I want to also do what Akshay does with web series and even movies and other content, forms of content, longer forms of content. But because we don't have this structure, like I said, to the reply to one of my previous questions, there needs to be a layer of music supervisors in between. And I hope some people watching, or some people who are really into music or are like good DJs or something and could learn this skill, because it's something we taught ourselves. I really hope that, I think a lot of the answers go back to this, having a layer of more music supervisors, and that would even help with royalties. I think that would even help with being able to lobby IPRS, being able to make things happen, being able to explain and educate to the clients how they can use music and why do you need exclusivity? Why do you feel you need it? What does it bring you? Why can't that song that it already exists be used in other places? And so for now, because there's no music supervisors, there are no synchronization reps, which is how I started having a group of artists and labels and indies and pushing them. So yeah, I think it's really important, while this doesn't exist, that anyone watching, please send us your music. I said this at the end of all About Music as well, when I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago. Please send us your music, because I think it's very important. And most of my expertise in India so far has actually been licensing international songs for brands who wanted international music. And then they're very respectful and they understand it's non-exclusive. So they understand these things. I would like to, but I look up to Akshay because what he's doing, and which is what I would like to do when the opportunities come my way as well, is helping local bands to get viewed, to get more distribution. I mean, if you get on a TV commercial, it's a form of distribution. Your music is being pumped into as a soundtrack, but it's being pumped into millions and millions of houses. So, for example, I did a commercial for Vivo, of course not with an Indian song. That's not my total experience so far, but the YouTube, and this is of a TV commercial for a phone, the YouTube page of that film has something like 50 million views. So you imagine you're an Indian band, you're an indie, imagine 50 million streams for your music. And most of the comments on that page are about the music. You know, very few people are going to say, "Oh, I love where they put the buttons," or "I love the editing on this film." They more talking about the music, because Vivo did a really good job in how they chose the music, how they developed the music with the story. And this is how music supervisors can help. And at the end, you can have huge amounts of views, of exposure, if you like, for your music.
I seriously envy both of you because you.
Well, I didn't write the song,
but the I sense the satisfaction when you do something like that.
Yeah,
it gives immense satisfaction, just so much of professional satisfaction when you can break something like that. You know, you suddenly have broken an artist, a song, to such a big audience. So it's a personal. Being in the music industry, I can understand, and that's why I'm so envious about both of you, because you both can do that, and that's really very cool.
I think actually, for anyone viewing this now, either now or in the future when it's put on YouTube, I think the first satisfaction is seeing. I don't know. Actually, I'd be curious to ask Akshay, about his view on this. But my first satisfaction is actually before the 50 million, you know, that takes 6 months or 9 months to generate. But actually seeing that film with a song, when it's an indie song, it's even more satisfaction. But just seeing the whole product, the whole project complete, and seeing it on air or watching it on TV, even, I really enjoy that. I really feel so happy, proud, but not in an arrogant way. Just, I really like it to see that, because it's something different that the music has done, and the music is actually being used to tell a story, to tell someone else's story. And if it's well chosen, it just sounds so beautiful on that story, and it really helps to push that forward. And the amount of respect or gratitude you get from the filmmakers, the creative people in that, is when you find them that song and you're able to license it, is also great. And that's before anyone in the public has seen it. I don't know. What do you think, Akshay?
No, I'm going to go to Akshay, one second. I'm going to come on that. So just for everybody who's attending, you know, I was just thinking when Alick was talking that we haven't touched the film aspect. Just one part Akshay touched, which was Gully Boy, where Ankur, you know, kind of did the music supervision. But I'm going to touch that part by saying that, you know, like what Alick has been saying throughout the webinar, we need more music supervisors, because what is going to happen in films as well is that you connect with the music director. I see a lot of artist managers and, you know, taste makers also a part of this webinar, which is very good. Thanks for being on the show. What you can do is you can speak to the music producers, you can get your own PR going with these music directors and stuff. And, you know, that is when you actually sit with the team and discuss the songs. Correct, Alick and Akshay? That's how you do that. So Ankur has done songs for Excel Entertainment. I'm just going to talk about this. If Ankur listens to it, I'm sure he will also resonate to it. He did some songs before that, and then he sits with Zoya Akhtar, and then they have a good rapport. He gets Dub Sharma on board, who's Dub, right? Dub was a part of this. So So Dub Sharma is a music producer. He gets on board, and then the music producer. So there is a very good PR between Zoya and Ankur, and that's how Ankur can gets the creative freedom to actually do music supervision. You know, that's how he gets to do that. He proves himself as, okay, he can give you a best soundtrack. The producer or the director does not have to go to a record label, a T series, or or anybody to search for songs and suggest them songs, but he can create a brilliant soundtrack for the movie. So for the films, you will have to approach production houses, you will have to approach directors, you have to approach upcoming directors, work with them from a nascent stage so that they believe in you, and they, you know, whenever they are making a film, they call you first and say that, hey, I'm making a film and I want you to give me 5 good songs, let's discuss. So I think that's my part on the films. And Akshay, you can continue with where we left. Do you remember?
So it's very important. Even if you like you find a song and you like give a song, the role of director is also very important, because a lot of the times what happens is, suppose there is a track and like you give them the stems as well, and they use the stems of the track to kind of in sync with the visual, and a lot of the times that kind of really creates an impact, whereas like you feel as a satisfaction where that like this song, even in its multiple stems are being used, and the whole setup creates like a hook for the user. So that is, I think, also very, very important from the production side to use the music. And like I was just gonna add an example. Like there was this ad by Levi's where there was this song called "Nothing Like This" by a band called Phantom. And if you just go onto their page, you just see like hundreds of people asking like, "Which song is this? Which song is this? Which song is this?" So that is like a thing where like a true like the video and the audio can like really create an impact, where even if your music is just being played in an ad and that right portion of music is being used, it can like really help you more listeners for your own music as an artist point of view.
Alick, there's a question by Sushant, and he's asking, how can an Indian artist reach out to international platforms and channels to strike a royalty deal for multi-web platforms or movie makers abroad? An Indian artist who wants to break internationally.
Music supervisors, again.
Is there a website or something that they can go and check out and send mails to all these music supervisors?
The best way is to say, let's take USA as an example.
Okay.
So there are many, many, many music supervisors working, especially in LA and in New York. And you should look at think about your music and think about the kind of, write your music for yourself, of course. That if you're not a composer for hire, then take the music that you've written, that you've expressed, whatever is inside you, and think about TV shows where you think that could fit. And then it's very easy using the internet to look up the music supervisors or the music companies that have worked on that show. And it's even easy using IMDb to look at where music supervisors are working on what's in production. It's much better than sending out blanket emails to every music supervisor or buying a list of emails and just sending it out. It's much better to write a music supervisor like, hey, I watched on Netflix this international series and I saw that you're the music supervisor, and I really love your work. I have a few songs that are like that. I noticed that there's a new season coming up in pre-production. Maybe you'd like to listen. Maybe talk about the fact that you're Indian. You use that as not much Indian music. If you sing in English, if you sing indie style music, not much is known about this kind of music outside of India. So maybe use that just to draw their attention, whatever it is you can. But and send streaming links. Don't send MP3s on emails, attachments. So that is the traditional way to reach out to music supervisors. You have to do some research. If you don't have a rep, the other thing you could do is find a rep. You could look up some reps. There's a website for, maybe you want to write this, the Guild of Music Supervisors.
Yeah.
It's an LA-based kind of union or association that they do a lot of. They obviously concentrate only on music supervision, and they have a kind of a database, but there are more you can find yourself. You can find more of these databases.
Alick, can you name top 3 music supervisors across the globe?
No, I can't.
Like they're your mentors, or you've seen them actually doing like this is cool. Like,
no, I really I no, because there's so many of us, and we all do such different work. I don't think it's good to go into that. I mean, let's just say then you have 2 of them here on your show right now.
Okay.
But
okay.
no, I don't mean that I just don't like these lists and top, because we're doing, if I'm doing a piece of work for, say, Vivo, and suppose they have a huge budget and I got a really great song, that's obviously very prominent. But if they have a very tiny budget for, say, a web video, and I'm looking through stock music libraries, which they're not the same quality of music, let's say, but they're getting better, it's good, but they want something very high quality, but for a very low price, but for a very small usage, it's still a huge amount of work. I could still feel very proud of that work. In fact, I do have a piece of Vivo work that's very small compared to a much bigger job for the same brand. So I don't know which music supervisors are proud of which work or what, but I mean, if you want to know, like, this is going back a long time, but I think where this all starts for me is a show from the 80s called Miami Vice. And Miami Vice, I'm sure you're aware of this show. It started when, no, I don't know who is the music supervisor from that show, because I don't think there was such a term as music supervisor at that point. But the reason that's so important is because it's the first real weekly kind of series that started to license music rather than compose. So that's where America was 35 years ago. And this was just when MTV had started, and there's a kind of urban myth, a story that one of the executive TV station directors was just brainstorming, and he wrote down for ideas for shows, he wrote down MTV Cops. And that's how Miami Vice apparently, I mean, with other things, that's how it germinated. That they had a show with a story like anything else, but at certain points they had set pieces, like where they used the song and they made it look like a music video, at least from the 80s. And that became part of the whole thing. And the songs from that became huge. I mean, they're from people we know very well now, like Phil Collins and, you know, all the synth bands, new wave, but it really helped along with everything else. So I would say I wouldn't name music supervisors, not out of disrespect, but out of respect, because everyone is trying to do a good job.
That is absolutely
But
cool,
there are
Alick.
shows that really capture something. And for me, I know it's going back a long way.
That's okay.
And there are lots of shows I could think about now when I put down the phone and I'll remember, but that was really so well done. And
Miami Vice.
So Miami Vice.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people know it, but
I haven't seen it though. But guys, I just saw the time and we are already 1 hour inside the show. I would also request all the attendees who have been there continuously with us, if you have questions, you can always send me. I was just talking to both of them, Alick and Akshay, that 1 hour will not be enough for the show, and I will again get them back on the show. That's I've already discussed. So you can send me your questions and I can get them back again. Debanjali, you've been asking about your questions, which Alick just answered, that you have to do a research on the music supervisors, what kind of show that they are actually currently working on. There is a new season coming up, and then, you know, you can always send your content to them. That's how you kind of do the research and stuff.
I will just want to add one thing.
Go ahead.
Just like one way that I have found like bits of success is that you should start with your music. Say, suppose if it's a song, like let's say any song, like say a hip hop song that is, and you just hear the song, and then you should just see like where can this song like really fit in. Like, does this song, suppose it's a song that is like can be a rider's anthem, like because like we have done, I personally did that. So we had like I was working with the band and they had this song, and what we did was we just instead of like going to find any supervisor, we just thought, okay, like where does this song really fit in, what kind of a commercial or what kind of a movie would you want, what do you envision like listening to the song, and then you start working from that. So that song, we felt like, okay, this could just be another rider's anthem, like a brand like Enfield or Harley or any one of them could just use the song. And then we just like wrote to the team at like Harley, okay, like we have this song and we think that this could just really be a really nice anthem out there, because that could really propel your brand as well. It is not a direct commercial, and that is another way that I'm really interested, because that's like more like a DIY way. Because in India, considering India, you don't see a lot of people who can help you find placement opportunities. What you could do is like you could just start from like what you have, what kind of music you have,
Yeah, and approach
and
this the similar kind of brands, and you see there
similar
is a
kind of,
synergy.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like even if you believe that, okay, like I have this song that might just fit in this show, you could just go on Google. Like there are a lot of terms, like a lot of tools through which you could just find like the email address of that organization, like what kind of like the people. You could just use LinkedIn. There is one great tool called like Clearbit, which kind of really helps you find the email address of any person who works at that organization if you just have that domain name. And then you just kind of write a short note that like I really like love your work, and I think like this song could be a fit in like in the sequel of the show, or like in some of a show that if you're doing it for a similar show that you're doing. So that is like a one cold email approach that you can use to kind of approach.
This
Because
this is this is this is this was so very important, Akshay. This is really great information, brother.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
That kind of opens up another market. Okay, so I'm going to quickly close the show. I just want to close before I close the show, and I take the final remarks from the panelists. I want to say that my next topic it's a very interesting topic that I always wanted to do. It's about brands and music. So I'm getting two panelists again who have done considerably well, and one is indeed a big name in our from the music industry, who has done works with OnePlus as a brand. So now I've taken the name of the brand, so you already know who I'm going to get on the show. He's going to come on the show. There's going to be one more person. So I am going to, in my next show, I'm going to talk about how uh, brands and music are coming together. What are the what how is that synergy happening? There are a few examples already. You see that, right? You see Red Bull, you see Budweiser, you see OnePlus, you see all these brands coming, and you see boat. There are a lot of brands who are merging themselves with music. How is that happening? What kind of money is the brand investing in these properties? What are the licenses? I'm going to talk about all this in my next show. Finally, guys, Akshay, your closing remarks for today's show.
I think like, yeah, 1 hour is like a way less time for this thing to happen, because it's such an upcoming thing in terms of an Indian market. And I think, yeah, we should like do more of this for like making people aware of the opportunities, especially independent artists, where they can like use their music.
Superb. Alick, closing remarks before
Yeah.
you go to the birthday party and enjoy yourself.
I agree 100% with Akshay. I'm very excited about all the opportunities that there are in India, not just for me, but there's just so much. And I think it's about education from what the panelists have to do towards our clients. But I think a lot of questions that have been asked, come back to that we need more music supervisors in India. We need more people who can deal with international music, with regional, local music, and can really like help brands, clients find whatever they're looking for, including composing, but more than that. And I think that's where I would like to also, or through our words, inspire people that this is a real career path. This is a real thing, and it's something you can teach yourself. It's not too difficult.
Thank you so much, Alick and Akshay, for being on the show.
Sure.
Thank you.
Should we drop in our email address, like, because
Yes,
for people who
please do that. Please drop your email IDs. I'm also going to put this show on YouTube, so I will definitely give you the credentials for Alick and Akshay on the YouTube. The YouTube name is This Is Jesse J. I want to take a lot of other topics. One of the topics is marketing, and music marketing is another Pandora's box. I'm going to open that Pandora's box really very soon. Please help me grow my channel. Follow me. Give me your suggestion. You all have my email ID. Give me your suggestion. Are you liking my these kind of shows? I'm very interested on music marketing. My next topic is also about music marketing, but it's like I told you, it's a vast subject, and I'm going to break it down and get you the best guys on the show to talk about music marketing. Please follow, please subscribe my YouTube channel, spread the word, and until next time, ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.